Hello, this is Mr. Scherry with Great Northern Books. I'm excited to tell you about some of the books that I've read this summer and this fall. Our Great Northern Book Fair is coming to your school soon. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there, but I do want to share some book talks with you. The first book I want to talk about is Will Hobbs' newest book in paperback. It's called Never Say Die. This is a book set in Alaska and the Yukon Territory of Canada. It's about two half-brothers, a boy named Nick Thrasher, he's Inuit Indian, who lives in Alaska. His half-brother Ryan Powers lives in the lower 48 states and works for National Geographic magazine. As the story begins, Nick is on a caribou hunt, and his caribou is taken away from him by a bear. He later discovers that this isn't a grizzly bear or a polar bear, it's a mix between the two called a growler bear. And scientists have discovered that these bears really do live in the Yukon Territory and in parts of Alaska. Well, Ryan is coming to Alaska to do some research for National Geographic. He's going to research the caribou herds and their numbers and how they migrate. And so he convinces his brother Nick to go with him to the Yukon Territory to do this research, and together they take their raft. They're going up a river called the Firth River. This is a river that flows in the very northern part of the Yukon Territory, and a river that Will Hobbs has actually rafted himself. And so when he writes about these are things that he knows firsthand. Well, as the brothers get on the river, of course, disaster strikes right away. The raft is overturned, the brothers go under the ice, they lose everything they have except for Nick's knife. And now this becomes a survival story. Not only must they survive in the wilderness, but they're also being stalked by a growler bear. So a very exciting, very taunt adventure. I think it's one that you would enjoy, and I believe we have posters that go with this book, so if you buy this book at the book fair, you can get a chance to get one of those posters also, and they're autographed by Will Hobbs, by the way. Another Will Hobbs book, a very timely book called Crossing the Wire, a story about a boy named Victor Flores. He lives in Mexico, and he's coming to the United States to find work. His family has a farm, but there is a drought in the area where they live. The family's crop has failed, they have no money. He knows no way to help support his family except to cross illegally into the United States and try to find a job. Now, he doesn't even have money to pay what are called coyotes. Coyotes are men who help smuggle illegals across the Mexican border into the United States. So he's going to try to do this on his own. It's a very perilous journey, and of course, can Victor survive the journey? And even if he makes it to the United States, what will happen? Well, he can be able to find a job, will be able to get money, will be able to send it back to his family. Lots of questions here, and a very timely book. This is something we're seeing happening right now in our country with lots of Central American and Mexican families coming into the United States. To switch gears a little bit, this is Susan Cooper's Seaward. Seaward is a story about two characters, West and Callie, and as the story begins, they don't know each other. They live in completely different parts of the world. Callie's father has been very sick. He's sent away. Callie's mother is staying with her, but then Callie finds out mother is also sick, and she says to Callie, I have to go too. Callie says, let me come with you. Mother says, no, you need to stay here. Your aunt is coming to stay with you. I'm going to go now. Your aunt should be here in a couple days. You'll be fine until she gets here. Well, Callie's mother leaves. Callie is feeling pretty lonely. She's wandering through the house, goes into her mother's bedroom, and looks at the strange mirror that her mother has on the wall. She gets close to the mirror and reaches out to touch it, and notices her hand goes right through the mirror. Of course, Callie, the next thing she tries is to step into the mirror. And when she does, she comes out in another world, not knowing how to get back to this world. Now, the other character in the story is a boy named West. West's father has had a tragic ending. We're not quite sure what's happened to the father. We know the mother's very worried about West and says the people that were after your father could also be after you. If anyone comes to our house, there's a safe place to hide. You need to go through the fireplace, through the false back, and there's a tunnel you can hide in. Well, sure enough, someone comes to the door. West's mother says, quick, go and hide. He goes into the fireplace, into the tunnel, and comes out in another world. This is the same world where Callie came out when she went through the mirror. So West and Callie meet each other, and discover that they have a common bond. They have an adventure and a mystery to solve. Now, we don't know what this is, and what's kind of fun about reading the book is, as the characters discover why they're there, you discover why they're there at the same time. So this is Susan Cooper's C word. Vortex is the second book in the Insignia series. Insignia is a book about World War III. World War III is being fought between the Chinese alliance and the United States alliance. These countries are fighting this war in space. The resources of Earth have pretty much been depleted, and so there are not enough people or resources to fight a war on Earth. The war is being fought with robots and cyborgs in space, and so of course the best soldiers are gamers. So these young teenage gamers are the ones fighting the wars. Now one of the heroes for the United States is a young gamer named Tom Raines. And in the first book, Insignia, he defeated a gamer who works for the Chinese, considered the best gamer in the world, a gamer named Medusa. Now there starts to be a connection between Tom and Medusa. And as they develop this connection, they both discover that what they're being told by their governments isn't entirely the truth. So now Tom has to make a decision. Is he going to do what his government says? Is he going to unquestionably fight this war? Or is he going to follow his own conscience and make different decisions? So if he does, he could cause a lot of problems, not only for himself, but his family and his friends. So a book with a lot of political and ideas of friendship and just some of the things that we think about in our lives every day. A book called Vortex. The Giver. This is a book that was first published in 1994, won the Newbery Award. This is a story about a dystopian society, probably one of the first dystopian books. A world where mates are chosen for you, so parents are put together by the government. Their children are chosen for them. They have one boy and one girl. It's a world devoid of feeling. Everybody is supposed to follow the law, obey what they're told to do, and not question authority. And there's a boy in the story named Jonas. Jonas is 12 years old, and he's going through what's called the Ceremony of 12. He is given a special assignment. He's going to work with a man called the Giver. And when he meets the Giver, he finds from this man the idea that we can have feelings. And once he discovers what feelings are, he discovers the power of these feelings. What will this do to the world he lives in, and how will this affect Jonas? The book is called The Giver. The Brotherhood is a a story set right at the end of the Civil War. The year is 1867. It's Richmond, Virginia. The war has ended, and the blacks and whites of the South are learning to live together. The main character is a young boy named Shadrach. He's apprenticed to a tailor, and he's also learning how to read by going to a black school with his black friend, a girl that he's met in his neighborhood. He also has a brother, Jeremiah, and Jeremiah is going to meetings at night with an organization, and this organization has been formed to protect the rights of Confederate widows. Now the group is eventually given the name the Ku Klux Klan, and Jeremiah discovers that the Klan is not there just to protect the rights of widows. They have other sinister plans. And of course, Shadrach is going to make some decisions. Is he going to do what he knows is right, or is he going to follow the old ways of the South? A book called Brotherhood. And Soldier Dog is a World War I story. This is the 100th anniversary of World War I. Story about a boy named Stanley. Stanley lives in England. His father raises greyhound dogs. His prize dog Rocket escapes and becomes pregnant, but the puppies are of other breeds of dogs, and of course the father doesn't want these because they're half-breed. He takes them and gives them to the gypsies. Stanley is so irate with his father that he runs away and joins the army. Now he's only 13 years old, so he has to lie about his age, and he is assigned to a newly formed corps. It's a dog corps where they're using dogs as in combat. So this is one of the first units that was around that was training dogs to be used in combat. So Stanley works with this dog named Bones, and together they are going to serve in France in World War I. So a lot of interesting things going on in the book. One of the things that's happening, of course, he has an older brother who is also in the army, and he's not only serving in France, but trying to find out what has happened with his older brother. I want to thank you for listening to the Book Talks. I wish I had a little bit more time, but that is it for today. So hope you find some of those books at the book fair or other books you might enjoy. Again, thank you.